Any other times when it's been, when things have appeared a bit dicey, where you've had to maybe beg, steal or borrow to get through?
Well, I've been fortunate enough I've never had to sort of borrow money. We've always been, I think the thing that what happens is that once you get up a certain number of releases, you have a catalogue.
Yeah.
You have a catalogue of records that are selling relatively regularly. So even without putting a record, that month you've got income coming in.
Stream.
So once you get past a certain stage, that starts to kick in and gives you the cash flow to take examples. On the Luke Grew thing, which was a lot of money, I had to stick my neck right out and drag every penny I had in to do that. But within 2 or 3 weeks of release, the money was back because it sold very, very well, or enough at least to get them. But yes, once you get to a certain level, you have a catalogue that's flowing through, and you're not always having to seek. But yes, some things are tight.
And just with all the I guess it's approaching almost a 30-year history in independent music.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's only a few of us from the 80s and early 70s still doing it.
That's true.
Okay, I'm on a different level to some of the labels, and I've moved on to other things. I'm doing other things in other genres of music, and etc. But Abstract's now on a new gamble, if you want to call it. We just recently signed 3 or 4 of the biggest UK underground hip-hop acts. Whereas I got involved with the Cool Notes Soul in the 80s, I think hip-hop's in a similar situation here, and we're going to try and bring some rock and roll to hip-hop, put tours together and put live events together, and we've got 3 or 4 very, very good acts who are currently recording their albums, and we've ventured out and laid out a lot on that, so that's going to be a nerve-wracking but exciting venture. So once again, you're taking that gamble. You're always having to move on and do something different, and really keep it going. And we're all having to adapt to digital and all this sort of thing. So it's been a changing world, that's for sure.
And what are some of your favourite moments through Abstract's history? I mean, are there any moments that stand out to you as kind of decisive or funny or?
Well, there are a few sort of technical things. I mean, I was very fortunate to be offered to do a compilation called Punk and Disorderly.
That's right.
Which was one of the very first punk compilation albums done, and that was very successful. And it went into the national chart and everything, and that was a big saviour for me because it was about the 3rd or 4th record I did. So that was a highlight. Obviously, signing the 3 Johns and New Model Army and going to 3 Johns gigs, and that sort of thing were highlights. Dealing with Luke Grew, Cool Notes, going to Top of the Pops and seeing one of your bands on Top of the Pops was a big thrill as well.
So you went along?
We went along and did it. I think they did 3 of them, and
it's funny. I mean, when you talk to bands who go to Top of the Pops, they usually get really disappointed by the mundanity of it, whereas people, with the label, they're thrilled to, sort of, it's a different experience.
Well, it is a totally different experience, because although you're independent, that doesn't mean to say you don't want to cross over.
No.
And there's a lot of people just, I don't want to cross over, and I don't want to be like a major or whatever. But I mean, you don't have that today. Domino and labels like that we're all small independents now. You've got massive, bands and doing fantastically well. So although you want to be independent in terms of being financed independently or away from the major stream, you would die for a 400,000 selling crossover #1 album, in your genre of what you're doing. And same with the Cool Notes when it went in. It was, it was a fantastic, the excitement, the buzz.
Yeah.
The anxiety of waiting for the first single would it get in the top 40, and it stopped at 42. The disappointment of that, but at the same time,
you didn't feel the need to rush out and buy a couple of copies from Chart Return shops.
I'm not going to incriminate myself there at all.
Of course
it never was done.
Yeah.
No. But yes, I mean, of course there's an excitement of that. You want to have that cred. I mean, you're not ego in the same as an artist is, but you are putting things out and you want to be successful.
A level of pride.
And the reason for being successful is not only it brings things to you. People say, well, they've done a really good job with that. I dismissed them before, but maybe I could bring something to them. So it's all about building a business. We're backroom boys. I mean, I'm not in Music Week every week like some people are in the major record companies because we're just doing what we do ourselves. But when what we're doing, people know within our network what we're doing and they come to us.
And how important is that network to you in terms of, is that something that you're very proud to belong to? The fact
it's a very important network. It's very important.
I mean, do you look at another independent label owner slightly differently to somebody in the music business because what they've they've had to go through.
I mean, we have a mutual respect, you know, and very often people don't like what the other people are putting out musically.
Yeah.
But ethically, I think we basically all have the ethics. We all want to be honest and fair to our artists, because this is one of the other big issues.
Yeah.
You know, to make sure they're paid and accounted, and their royalties are paid, their MCPS is paid. All these are part of the business. There's a legal side to it as well as the musical side. There's a business side that has to be dealt with. So yeah, you look at other labels and respect. And I've got a lot of respect for a lot of guys. They've done fantastically well.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't know me, and I don't know them, but I can see them from a distance. And I see what they're doing, and some of them I'm dreadfully envious, and other ones I said, well, you know, you've done it your way. So yeah, I mean, it's like that. It's a bit muddled at the moment in terms of how the majors have got into the independents, and a lot of independents are having to finance their big releases by licensing majors abroad. But fair enough, that's a business, you know. I think that ethic is no big deal, really, you know.